Hi there, my name is Sunny and my topic is poaching in Africa. So just a brief outline, we'll start with the introduction, define poaching and some facts about it. We will move into the history, how poaching started in Africa, the illegal poaching operations like the groups in charge, the loss of life of all the poached animals, the impact on local economy and society, as well as conservation and combating poaching, and finally the conclusion. So what is poaching? Poaching is defined as the illegal hunting or capturing of wild animals, usually associated with land use rights. So this has been an ongoing dilemma for decades. Poaching has begun to endanger and even exterminate iconic species throughout various parts of the world. More specifically, in Africa, approximately 97% of the indigenous black rhino population has been killed off since the 1960s. As many as 35,000 African elephants are killed each year, and there's only an estimated 1,000 mountain gorillas remaining. These beloved animals are unlawfully slaughtered and butchered for various parts of their bodies, such as their tusks, pelts, and bones, in return for large sums of money, all which is facilitated through illegal trading markets. It's estimated that the majority of current endangered African wildlife will become fully extinct by the end of our lifetime if we keep this up. So the history of poaching. Poaching has been part of Africa's historical background since the early 1800s, as several instances of European hunters trespassing on the grounds of African kings arose throughout the century. It wasn't until the 1970s that poaching in Africa reached a tipping point for the first time, as both elephants and rhinos were threatened with extinction. Unfortunately, it wasn't until 1990 that African elephants and other indigenous species were added to the list of animals that cannot be sold for commercial use. Even more unfortunate, this protective act only lasted a mere decade. Since 2000s, poaching has become a major crisis that has been far more destructive than we once imagined. So the illegal poaching operations and the groups in charge. So a vast majority of the illegal poaching operations run within the continent of Africa are controlled by a few different groups as opposed to several. These groups have a combined a variety of individuals whose occupational titles range from soldiers to government officials, which goes to show how corrupt the entire country has become in terms of laws and regulations. So the first up is the Akasha Network. This is actually a picture of them in trial due to drug-related issues. So the Akasha Network is a well-known crime family allegedly run by two brothers. They've been previously linked to drug smuggling operations along with illegal ivory trading as well. Then the Mombasa Network. So this network is another group within the African region that rains terror on wildlife through their poaching and smuggling efforts. These networks are compared to the mafia in the United States. Sadly, poaching to these criminals is just merely a moneymaker. Regardless of the impact they have on the environment, they don't care, they're just in it for the money. Loss of life. So these animals are slaughtered without a just cause, and as a result, there's been a mass decline of populations across a wide variety of African species. Poachers seek out the animals that are usually the largest or oldest, which is mainly the case due to their pelts and tusks to be the most mature. This is incredibly detrimental to family systems of these animals, as the oldest of the group are typically the leaders. For instance, the eldest female elephants in a herd are considered to be the matriarchs, and they are considered to be the most valuable to the family system. In a study conducted in the 80s, researchers noted the killings of matriarchs had a strong correlation to the offspring and their livelihoods. Touching on their research, a different researcher described the impacts of a herd losing a matriarch. The youngest offspring often perished with their mothers, causing a disrupted age structure. Many other offspring were orphaned, only to range in solitary or in atypical groups of unrelated females. So looking at the impact on the economy and local society. So the World Wildlife Fund decided to conduct a recent study of their own to gauge the impact on the tourism sector of Africa's economy. The statistics revealed that the country is losing around 25 million yearly due to elephant poaching alone. Around 9 million of that is lost from tourist direct spending, such as staying in hotels and buying crafts, with the rest through indirect value in the economy, such as farmers and other suppliers supporting the tourist industry. The presence of poaching itself also poses undesirable influence on the local society. Conservation experts stress that poaching affects the society as a whole, promoting violence and corruption as well as hindering the economic development of entire regions. So due to the majority of the world's fixation on money, the lucrative aspects of poaching are practically the only thing that continues to drive its existence. So conservation and combating poaching. The African Wildlife Foundation, the AWF, has been continually committed to combating the enraging efforts of poachers for over a decade. Their efforts vary from equipping wildlife rangers, deploying sniffer dogs to catch poachers, and training law enforcement, as well as enabling conservation-friendly community empowerment and getting citizens involved to ensure protection for the wildlife that reside on their land. Beyond these efforts, the AWF has also gotten in contact with various entities and countries, such as the African Union, China, and Vietnam, in an effort to inform them of the harsh realities of poaching and how they are demolishing this business. So the Wildlife Act. They offer students internship opportunities to conduct research of their own about the ongoing struggles with wildlife populations. So in addition to this, many other organizations are also establishing donation initiatives to help restore the environment and populations of the endangered species. So in conclusion, clearly there's a dire need to abolish the act of poaching, not only in Africa, but across the world. The impacts of this crucial business stretches far beyond just the loss of life that species experience. Financially, environmentally, and ethically, there are many other aspects of life that are being negatively impacted by this ongoing dilemma, and it will only get worse if nothing is done in a timely manner. Thank you.